to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the most listened to daily Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
Miami's got the Dolphins, the greatest of all.
Come on, Dolphins fans. Time to fins up.
We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl. Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one.
Hello, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? And thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast on this Wednesday, May the 28th. I am your host, Mike Oliva, flying solo today as Miami Dolphins OTAs are in full swing. We have a lot to talk about. Mike McDaniel spoke to the media today. We had some players spoke to the media today, and there's just so much to talk about. And we'll also break down what happened on the field as well. But before we get to that, if you're watching on YouTube, do me a favor right now, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's just get it right out of the way at the top of the show for those watching on YouTube. Do me a favor right now, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Also, shout out to the sponsor of today's show, Caneswear. Everyone go to the website caneswear.com for the best and most affordable Miami Dolphins apparel anywhere on the internet. If you need a Miami Dolphins hat, hoodie, jersey, polo, windbreaker, winter jacket, parka, scarf, mittens, hat, baseball cap, shorts, you name it with a Miami Dolphins logo on it. Something for the house, something for the car, something for the home office. Caneswear.com is the place to go. They ship internationally as well. And if you're in South Florida, just stop by the store. You can buy everything right there at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, Florida. They also have stuff for your Florida Panthers, who most likely will be heading back to the Stanley Cup finals real soon. The Miami Heat, Miami Marlins, Miami Hurricanes, of course, and other college teams in the state of Florida. Caneswear.com is the site. Caneswear.com. Also, Dolphins Talk Extra. If you haven't signed up yet, don't wait any longer. Patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. $3 a month. Can't beat the price. Can't beat the price. And you get bonus podcast, private message board. We have a ton of contests where we give away autographs, Miami Dolphins apparel, stuff like that. And plus there's bonus podcasts, some about the Dolphins, some not about the Dolphins. We have a lot of fun. Patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. All right. Let's start with the media sessions, as that's where a lot of the good information came today. I'm going to start with Mike McDaniel, head coach. When he spoke to the media, he was asked about a variety of topics concerning his team. Let's start with Austin Jackson and James Daniels, both rehabbing from injuries. Will they be ready for the start of the season? How soon will they be back? He was asked about that. And I quote, Austin, he's closer to returning. James is still working his way back. He said, I like where James, at in his recovery and in the process. And the biggest thing for him is he's been an active participator within the room, in the film room, knowing that he's new to our system and what we want to do and how we want to utilize his skill set. So Austin is surely further ahead, but James is doing well. So Austin Jackson, I think, should be ready probably by the start of training camp. James Daniels, I know what they've said. These are the same people last year, though, who lied is a strong word, misled us on Odell Beckham, Isaiah, one another. So James Daniels, we're crossing our fingers, hoping for the best here, but I am not going to be I cannot say with any certainty he will be back ready to go by the start of training camp. He'll be back ready to go by the start of the season. That is a major injury he's coming back from. We're hoping for the best, and Mike McDaniel really did not shed any light here with that answer. He was asked about Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. What's their status? And Mike McDaniel said, both of them have basically made their offseason and in-season with how they approach their work. As a result, they're both able to really participate in most things, most days, being cautious and using the science on their recovery. So someday, depends on what day you're out there, you'll probably see one, if not both. There will be a day or two where we're going to have to back off that, but very happy with where they are at and know they're excited as ever. So Chubb, I have a quote from Chubb. You know what? Let me just get to the Chubb quote now since it makes the most sense. 'cause I think that's the only quote from Chubb. Chubb was asked about not playing last year and where he's at now. Chubb said, it was one of those things that weighed on me early in the offseason. Like, man, would I be able to go out there and do it all again? I left some on the table in that aspect. But at the end of the day, I had to make sure I was 100% right. That allowed me to get 100% right and allowed me to attack the offseason like I knew I had to. At first, it was a little hard, but I'm glad I made the decision to get all the way right and to be able to be out here and run around. However, many plays and be able to run around however many plays, because that's what the team needs for this year. It sucked in hindsight, but at the end of the day, I'm glad I made that decision. And Chubb would expand on that a little bit more. And another question saying, it bothered him that he didn't play last year, but in hindsight, it was the best thing. Because if he would have rushed back, I don't think it would have made the team any better. And now heading into this year, he has a chance to be 100% or as close to 100%. Someone's coming off a third ACL injury, can be heading into this year. Jalen Phillips, same type of deal. It sounds like they're kind of on track to play at the start of the season. Once again, I don't trust these people because they've misled us in the past. So we'll see where they are come August. We'll see where they are come training camp, if they're out there every day or if they're only practicing like 1 day a week, a lot of rest days, no physical work. We'll know more then. We'll be able to read between the lines then. But Mike McDaniel was very upbeat on them. He was very upbeat on Austin Jackson. James Daniels, he didn't, he wasn't over the top upbeat. Let's just leave it at that. Mike McDaniel was asked about Tyreek Hill racing Noah Lyles, which, in part of my language, is fucking ridiculous. This is the problem with the Miami Dolphins organization. Why are they letting Tyreek Hill race Noah Lyles? That's the problem with the organization. Mike McDaniel gave a very, let's say, frank answer on this. I have no idea, nor do I care. Well, if you don't care, then put an end to this bullshit. He goes, I have no idea, nor do I care. First, theoretically, if people are competing and it's helping their training, as long as he doesn't train to be a sprinter and he's running routes while he's doing it, that's cool. Mike, he's not running routes. Yes, he is trained to be a sprinter. Whether I'm going to stand and say whether I'll allow something, I don't even know where that stands, nor did I know that it existed. So we'll cross that bridge. Mike, that's the problem. You don't know. How do you not know? This guy's on social media for months saying he wants to raise Noah Lyles. He's like one of the highest paid guys on your team, and you're here claiming ignorance? Ignorance is not an excuse, Mike McDaniel. Know your team. Know what's going on. I'm not saying you got to be on social media, but there should be people around you telling you, hey, FYI, Tyreek's on social media. Just had wrist surgery, training for a sprint against a guy he has no chance of beating, and he can't participate in our OTAs. Probably shouldn't be doing this. You might be asked about this. Just a heads up. The fact that he doesn't know, or at least he's playing stupid. Because if he's playing stupid and he really does know, and he's just playing like he doesn't know, guess what? Perception is reality, so you come off like an idiot. And this is the problem with Mike McDaniel. I'm sorry, and I'm getting worked up in May, but it's just the reality of the situation. This guy has no control over his team. And it's the same people taking advantage. Someone in the Dolphins organization, whether it's Chris Greer or Mike McDaniel, say, hey, Tyreek, you got your wrist in the cast. You can't catch any balls until late July, first part of August. You're not racing Noah Lyles. So stop it. And if you do, you're in breach of contract. Period. It's over. It's over at that point. This is the problem with the Dolphins. This is how you go 25 years not winning a playoff game. And you got the head coach stand up there on May 28th acting dumb. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea, nor do I care. Mike, you better care because he's one of the highest paid guys on your team who just had 2 wrist surgeries that you need this year to save your ass and save your job. So you better care what he's doing. I mean, good God almighty. Claiming ignorance really is a bad luck. And this guy went to Yale. That's a scary part. He was asked about Tyreek being ready for the start of training camp. I'm not even going to read the answer. Because it is such a word salad of an answer that your head would explode. But here's what I know the answer wasn't. It wasn't a yes. So it wasn't a yes. So Tyreek is going to race Noah Lyles, and Mike McDaniel's got his head in the sand, or at least he's, acting like his head's in the sand, which means he doesn't care, or he's afraid to put a stop to it. And then saying, will Tyreek be ready for training camp? And just instead of just saying yes, no, or that's the plan, He just said like 5 sentences that make no freaking sense, and that's Mike. Regarding Ramsey, this is where the press conference got good. He was asked like 4 different questions about Ramsey. And I'll give Mike credit for this. He did not want to talk about Jalen Ramsey in any which way. He made it very, very clear. Very clear he had no interest in speaking about Jalen Ramsey, which, follows the reporting from Armando Salguero and others that Ramsey and Mike McDaniel had a big falling out. They had a big falling out, and, they're just not friendly, let's just say. So he avoided every question, tap danced around every question. One of them was a combobulated answer, very confusing. I'm not even going to try to repeat it because it would literally make no sense in podcast form. If I play the video and let him say it, you'd really be even more confused. He did give one coherent answer, one on Ramsey, because he had a tap dance around this question like 4 or 5 times. And one of his coherent answers was, quite honestly, zero has changed since the last time I said anything about him. I'm very much interested in the players that I'm coaching on the field today. I think if you have a team that's focused on getting better each and every day, that's plenty for me to worry about, and I guess I'll leave it at that. Mike, if you answered every question that coherently, I think it would go a long way in helping you in your job security. Tua. Mike McDaniel asked about Tua. And if there's a point of emphasis in Tua's game this year. This is a super long answer. I'll read it until I get bored with it. Again, it's just so many word-salad answers that, sentence after sentence, just short to the point, Mike. Again, I'll read up until a point where I get annoyed. I think for Tua, being in year 4 of the system, really going through the process and understanding what his job is and how to excel at it, it's consistency of development for him. I think there's a lot of lessons learned last year, in particular on and off the field, when he was playing and when he wasn't, how to do his job. I'll let him talk specifically. When we're talking, he's the quarterback, the franchise quarterback of a team that his job is to lead men each and every play, finding different ways to continue the process of evaluation of him. That's always been the name of the game for him, whether that's getting the offense to the line of scrimmage faster out of the huddle, whether that's being able to adjust protections, do side adjust, growing his game, work on progressions, work on escaping the pocket. And okay, now I'm getting bored. He's just going through like here's the deal. Here's real talk. Tua's problem isn't getting the players out of the huddle. Tua's problem isn't line adjustments, side adjustments, growing his game, working on progressions. Real talk, keeping it a buck, keeping it 100. Tua's problem staying healthy. That's the issue with Tua. Tua has one job he needs to understand, how to stay on the field. He has to know slide, don't try and make any tackles when you throw an interception. And if you're outside the pocket, get down or get out of bounds. Stay healthy. Everything Mike McDaniel said there is just, again, more word salad nonsense because Tua does not have issues with that. Being year 4 of the system, really going through the process. Tua knows the system. He knows the process. He knows all that stuff is important. Getting the team in and out of the huddle quickly, making line calls, all that stuff. Duh. That's the job of an NFL quarterback. Tua's one and only problem is staying healthy. Once again, sliding. If you're out of the pocket, get down, get out of bounds. And don't try to make tackles if you throw an interception. Just eat it and run off the field. Let someone else make the tackle. Or just let them score. It's not that big a deal, really. Because you'll get the ball back, and then you can hopefully fix it and match them score for score. So, McDaniel, a lot of words. He was asked about his culture. Mike McDaniel was asked about the Miami Dolphins culture. Last one I'll read, and I shortened this one. Mike McDaniel can give you know what? I'm not even going to read it. It's so freaking long, the answer. Essentially, Mike McDaniel gave a long answer where he really didn't address anything with the culture. He doesn't think it's a problem. Pretty much says, we got to work at it, blah, 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 blah. It was just a bunch of nonsense. So Mike McDaniel gave a long press media session, said a lot of words, not many answers there, which, again, I will give him credit. Ask the question. If you don't want to answer it, tap dance around it. He's a master of it. But some of this stuff is simple stuff. Some of these questions are simple, and he can give a straight answer or at least shorten the answer some. Good Lord. If you're going to answer it, at least give a short answer. That's what I'll say. Tyreek Hill spoke. This is always interesting. On his wrist, he said he had obviously 2 surgeries on the right wrist, talking about his wrist in general. He goes, really, it was both wrists that were hurting. He goes, it was really both of them, but the right wrist was the one that was giving me the main problem. Tyreek was asked about being a captain. This is the one I'm so happy someone asked this. He goes, I've got to prove myself. This OTAs training camp, I've got to prove myself. I've got to show up different. The mindset has got to be different. I don't feel like I deserve it. And if I didn't get it, I wouldn't dwell on it. I wouldn't sweat it because I put myself in that position. I don't know if Tyreek is being honest here because I have a feeling in mid-August, late August, when they announce the captains, if he's not one of them, I think we're going to see a hissy fit. But if he's being honest, and if that's an honest answer, which again with him, you never really know, I will give him kudos for newfound self-awareness. But I'm not going to give him that credit now. I want to see his reaction in mid to late August if he's not named captain. If he stays quiet and doesn't cause any issues, he gets a big kudos and maybe some newfound self-awareness. But I got a feeling if he's not named, here's the deal, spoiler, he's going to be named captain. It's going to be a dog and pony show where like he's changed, he's so good, he's worked so hard this offseason. He's going to be named captain. But if he's not, we'll see. I'm just going to reserve judgment on that one. But I like what he said here, so I do want to give him credit for at least saying the right thing, which for him is somewhat tough. He's lost weight. He said, yeah, I've been training a lot. I'm weighing 183 pounds. When I first got to Miami, I was 197, but I feel like I'm back to my original playing weight whenever I was back in Kansas City. I feel great. So he's down about 14, 15 pounds. On talking to his teammates about quitting in the game versus the Jets. Another great question. And he answered it. It was tough. Obviously, emotions were high then, but at the end of the day, I'm just looking to move forward from that, hoping that I can prove myself and prove to my teammates I'm still one of the ones who's chasing 2K, one of the ones chasing playoff dreams and all that great stuff. Well, I could have done without the 2K comment, but he at least answered the question straight on. Look, I'm not the biggest Tyreek Hill fan. I want to give him credit, though. This media session was probably the most honest we've seen him in a while. So I want to give him credit for answering the questions that he did answer pretty honestly. Again, 2K stuff, not in love with it. I spoke about that on the show the other day. Not going to go through on that again. But Tyreek actually gave a pretty positive media session here and said a lot of the right things. So kudos to him. So thumbs up for Tyreek Hill. Thumbs up to Bradley Chubb. Mike McDaniel, that media session was, as a fan who's hoping that this guy can figure it out, I'm just going to leave it at not inspiring, and it's only May. To me, it feels like nothing's changed, which is scary. All right, before I get on to the rest of today's show, shout out to everyone listening at finheaven.com. Everyone go to finheaven.com, largest Miami Dolphins message board on the internet. Also, shout out to everyone listening at the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook page, run by the great and talented Carlos Hernandez. If you're on Facebook, please be sure you like, you follow, you're a member, you're a part of the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook page. And wherever you're listening to this podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Podbean, Podchaser, Audible, iHeartRadio, YouTube, subscribe. I got 2 interviews I'm shooting tomorrow. One will drop Friday, one will drop over the weekend. And I'm working on more interviews for next week to get us through this off season. You're not going to want to miss those episodes. You're not going to want to miss those interviews. They're going to be very, very good. I promise you they're going to be very good. So please be sure you are subscribed to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast on whichever platform you're listening to us on. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star rating and a positive review. All right, there was actually some OTA activities that took place on the field today, and only a portion of it was open to the media. Zach Sealer, Jonnu Smith, and James Daniels did not participate in these OTAs. I call it light practices because they're not really a practice, but it's a light practice during the OTAs. And I want to give credit to David Furones of the Sun Sentinel, who's got some the highlights, lowlights, and everything in between of what took place on the field. So everyone make sure you're following David Furones. And if you don't subscribe to the Sun Sentinel Miami Dolphins coverage, please do that because he's got great stuff over there. All right, let's get to some of it here. Edge rusher Bradley Chubb had multiple would-be practice 11-on-11 work. He was all over Zach Wilson on a play-action rollout, and he pulled up with obviously you can't hit the player, so he didn't hit him, but it would have been a sack. Later, Chubb rushed Ryan Hayes right into Zach Wilson, which forced a fumble by Zach Wilson. Tua Tagovailoa hit wide receiver Jalen Waddle, taking advantage of mismatches against the Miami Dolphins cornerbacks, which will be the story of the entire OTAs, the entire offseason, and the entire season because the Miami Dolphins have no cornerbacks. Waddle burned Cam Smith for a deep touchdown of about 60 yards, and Cam Smith came up hobbling, pulling at his hamstring. He was seen limping on the sideline. Later, went to go back out there on the field, but he couldn't, and he was seen limping even worse. So we're at day 2 of OTAs, the first day of on the field work, and Cam Smith's already hurt. And this is the same organization that said 2 weeks ago, we're not worried about the cornerback spot because we expect big things out of Cam Smith. Couldn't make it through the first non-contact OTA practice without hurting himself. So, yeah. Tua hit Waddle down the field again, and it was good pass protection on that play from Julian Hill. There was a bad snap from Liam Eichenberg to Zach Wilson, who could not handle it. Zach Wilson threw behind D. Eskridge on a deep sideline pass, and Eskridge made an impressive one-handed catch. In 7-on-7 work, Tua overthrew Waddle early on tight coverage from Kader Kohou. Wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Ikhine made a diving catch from Tua. Tua hit Tanner Connor on a smooth corner route to gain about 20 yards. Defensive tackle Matt Dickerson won an interior one-on-one play against rookie guard Jonas Sub. Excuse me, got the hiccups. Let me start that over since I did have the hiccups. Matt Dickerson won an interior one-on-one play snap against second-round pick Jonas Anavea that blew up Jalen Wright at the line of scrimmage when he was trying to run the ball. Again, no contact, but blew it up, meaning if there was contact, nothing was going to happen. Chop Robinson celebrated, would have been a tackle for a loss if they were hitting. Robinson won multiple battles against the offensive line. So Chop, look, I expect a big year from Chop. Chop's going to have a big year, and sounds like he got off to a good first day of OTAs here. Even though no hitting, we know you can tell who's winning the battle. So if there was hitting, it would have been ugly for one person, not the other. Alexander Madison broke a big gain on a short pass that he took from Zach Wilson. Quinn Ewers threw a deep corner to undrafted rookie Monterey Baldwin, but safety Jordan Colbert broke up the pass. Undrafted rookie corner Kendall Sheffield was all over Theo Weiss, a undrafted rookie wide receiver. And Tua found running back Jalen Wright down the sideline on a play that could have went all the way for a touchdown. Tua held onto the ball for a while before he threw it to wait to get the ball to Jalen Wright. So once again, thank you to David Furones of the South Florida Sun Sentinel for some of that on the field action that took place. Again, as I always say with this stuff, whether it's OTAs like this, mini camp here in a few weeks, or even the first couple days of training camp when there's no contact, take all this stuff with a grain of salt. Do not judge or read into anything when there's no contact. The first day in August, when there is a training camp practice where the pads are on, then I'll read into stuff a little. But until then, this is just, it's nice to read. It's nice to see. It's nice to get a feel what's going on. But it literally means nothing because without contact, it's just you, your brother or sister in your backyard throwing around a football at the end of the day. And you can't tell who's good, who's bad from it because this is tackle football. This is the NFL. So take it all with a grain of salt. But it is nice to have some rundowns and recaps of what's happening on the field. Last topic I want to talk about. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. I'm really not. But, it's worth talking about because I think fans of this team, in some ways, I always say this, and I know it happens to all teams, so it's not just a Miami Dolphins thing. They fall in love with any player that comes to their team. Miami will sign literally anybody, and there's a segment of the fan base who just pump him up. He's the best. I can't believe we got him. He's going to be so good. Then he's like, well, maybe. I mean, the guy's really not that good. We just signed him for peanuts, or we just signed him because we had to sign somebody. I wouldn't read too much into it. And I think with what Miami's done in their quarterback room behind Tua, not counting Tua, with Zach Wilson and Quinn Ewers, I like what they've done. Let me say that again so people can understand. I like what they've done. But let's not, rewrite history and make things up. The last time we saw Zach Wilson on a football field, he was really bad for the Jets. Like, he was really bad that season for the Jets. He might have had a good moment here or a good moment there, but overall, his body of work since being in the NFL has been really, really bad. And Quinn Ewers was a seventh-round pick. Now, I don't think he's your typical seventh-round pick, but he's still a seventh-round pick. That's a fact. Not hating, just stating. And we have to sort of take that as well. There's an article from our friend Justin Mello at the Draft Network. The Tennessee Titans right now have a quarterback room, a little crowded, and they're trying to trade Will Levis because you take Cameron Ward, 1 overall. You want your number 2 to be a seasoned vet to sort of, show him the ropes, groom him. They got a couple guys like that. Will Levis is the odd man out. He's got 2 years left on his deal. They don't really need him, and they want to obviously put all their time and effort into grooming Cam Ward. They don't really want to groom a guy that they've already tried to and it just hasn't worked out. So the article from the Draft Network says, as they're trying to trade Will Levis, these are the 3 teams that should be trying to trade for him. These are the 3 best landing spots for Will Levis. And they were the Jets, Miami, and the Rams. And they all make sense. The Jets, Justin Fields, a little bit of an unknown. Matthew Stafford getting a little long in the tooth. They should have, probably bring in some competition behind him to see what happens in the year or so. And fans of Dolphins, why Miami? Why? Because after Tua, what do you have? I know what they have in Zach Wilson and Quinn Ewers is not Skylar Thompson, not Tyler Huntley. I get that. But what would it hurt to bring in another guy and let's see what happens? Again, what is it going to take to get Will Levis? You're talking like a 5th or a 6th round pick. Who cares? It's not that big a deal. The guy's making literally no money. He's under contract this year and next year, making a little over $1 million each year, which in NFL circles is next to nothing. FYI, Zach Wilson's on a 1-year deal. Even if he has to play this year, even if Zach Wilson's great, kind of like Sam Darnold, what was a Viking, guess what? Zach Wilson won't be here next year. Guess what you're going to need a year from now? A backup quarterback. So the notion that Miami could be in the market for Will Levis is not as crazy as it sounds. So I think it's going to happen. Let me make it clear. No, I don't. But if they make the trade, am I going to be like jaw on the floor? Oh my God, I can't believe they did that. No, because Quinn Ewers, I have no earthly idea if he's really an NFL quarterback. Zach Wilson, I hope is improved since his last game with the Jets in 2023, but he didn't play in 2024, and we have no idea if he's any better than he was with the Jets. Just because he played for Sean Payton but never stepped on the field with the Broncos doesn't mean he actually improved, okay? We have to actually see it. So, and if you look at the numbers between Will Levis and Zach Wilson, Zach Wilson has started 34 games, has 23 touchdowns, 25 interceptions, and a completion percentage at 57%. Okay, 57% more interceptions than touchdowns. Will Levis has 21 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, more touchdowns than interceptions, and his completion percentage is 4% higher at 61%. So, I saw fans of the Dolphins on social media, Will Levis sucks, Zach Wilson's great. Based on what? Their stats? The stats say the otherwise. That, I'm not saying Will Levis is Joe Montana, but he's got more touchdowns and picks. He has a completion percentage over 60%. Zach Wilson can't say either thing. Again, I'm not saying Miami will do it. I'm just saying if they did, I kind of understand, and it wouldn't shock me because the one thing we learned last year and in previous years with Tua, has trouble staying on the field, and when he goes down, you better have a competent number 2 quarterback. Is Zach Wilson competent? I hope so. You hope so. We don't know. And if you want to throw Will Levis in the pot with Quinn Ewers and Zach Wilson in that God forbid moment someone's got to play, I'm not against it. And if that means we got to carry 4 quarterbacks, I'm not against that either because quarterback's the most important position on a team. This Dolphins team would have made the playoffs last year if it had a competent number 2 quarterback, period. They would have probably beat the Colts. They probably would have beat Seattle as well, and they're probably in the playoffs. They might have got blown out in round one, but they at least would have been there. And to think, okay, we got Zach Wilson, nothing to worry about, is just short-sighted and naive. I mean, really, that is homerism on a new level. So do I think they'll trade for Will Levis? No. But as this article points out, Miami probably should, especially if it's just a late-round pick, because FYI, Miami's got an extra third. Not that they got to trade a third, but they have an extra third next year. They're going to have an extra fifth with the one compensatory pick they're going to get. In the minute they trade Ramsey, they're going to get one or two more late-round picks to trade. So they're already getting an extra fifth for next year in the comp, which they can't trade that one. But they're probably going to get one or two picks in any Ramsey trade, probably around 4, 5, or 6 late ones. Okay. And they will have an extra third, which they're not going to trade the third, but they have an extra third. They're going to have extra picks next year. If they want to trade a fifth next year or a sixth next year for Will Levis, go for it. Why not? For $1 million player that you control this year and next year, I mean, that's just smart business at the end of the day. I mean, they could trade for him, cut the punter, and it's like a wash on the salary cap because they have 2 punters. They don't need 2. Literally, they could give up a 6th-round pick, get Will Levis, cut 1 punter, and it's a wash on the cap pretty much. So, again, not saying it will happen, but I'm saying if it did, wouldn't be mad because as much as I don't mind the Zach Wilson signing, if any Dolphins fan sits there with a straight face and tries to sell you a line of bullshit that if he goes down to it, we're fine, we got Zach Wilson, they're lying to you because they don't know. That's wish casting. That's not reality. We hope Zach Wilson will be good. We don't know. Because the last time we saw him, he was pretty bad. So just wanted to mention that article and mention that little tidbit because I saw so many Dolphins fans get worked up. Like, why would you be mad about this? Like Zach Wilson can't have competition for number 2 quarterback. Really, Zach Wilson? Like, what? I mean, Scott, some fans, man, they fall in love with a player the minute he's on the Miami Dolphins roster, and they just will defend him to the end of the earth, and it makes no sense. And this was one of those cases. All right. Everyone, thank you for listening to today's show. Again, 2 interviews. One will drop Thursday night, and one will probably drop on the weekend. Be on the lookout for that. DolphinsTalk.com, bunch of great new articles up. Check them out. If you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button and subscribe. We'll talk to you again all after a while here real soon. And as always, don't forget, we must put an end to highway profanity. Hey everyone, Mike here from DolphinsTalk.com. Real quick, I just want to give a thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. Also, just want to say thank you for all the support you provide us here at DolphinsTalk.com and have over the many years. We thank you. It's much appreciated. Without you, there would be no us. I know there are so many other podcast options out there these days, whether it's true crime, the NBA, Major League Baseball, news, politics, and of course, other Miami Dolphins podcasts as well. We really do appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day, each and every day, to watch our stuff here at DolphinsTalk.com. Also, if you like this show and want more content from us, please be sure to sign up for Dolphins Talk Extra. Go to patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. We have a private message board where you can interact with only extra members and ourselves here, the staff at the website. We have extra podcasts about the Dolphins and also extra podcasts not about the Miami Dolphins. And we give away a ton of prizes. We have a ton of contests that are exclusive to Dolphins Talk Extra members. We give away autographs, memorabilia, jerseys, hats, all that fun stuff. So everyone, please be sure to go to patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. It's $3 a month. It's really cheap. You'll have a lot of fun. Trust me. But once again, thank you so much. Everyone, have a great day.